Thank you for joining us today for Cape Chronicle. I'm Audrey Kane. Welcome to our April 2018 election special. Cape Girardeau's voters will head to the polls April 3rd to elect a new mayor and council members and decide the fate of the Parks, Recreation, and Stormwater Sales Tax extension. We'll have both Ward 2 candidates with us today to talk about the issues in the city's only contested race, and the city manager will talk about the Aquatic Center and the stormwater projects that are planned if the Parks tax is again approved by voters. That's all ahead on Cape Chronicle.
National forests are essential to life, majestic and grand. They clean our air, supply drinking water to millions of Americans, and provide homes to countless wildlife. They fuel our imaginations and inspire us to think big. Now, our national forests need us. Fires and natural disasters destroy millions of trees each year. That's why we're replanting our forests from coast to coast. Visit arborday.org. See how you can help.
Welcome to Cape Chronicle. I'm Audrey Kane. Except for the mayor, each City of Cape Girardeau council member represents one of the city's 6 wards, and Ward 2 is the only ward to have more than one candidate up for election in April. Joining me now is incumbent Ward 2 Representative Shelley Moore. Shelley, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, do you have a message, as the incumbent of Ward 2, do you have a message for the voters in the upcoming election?
Yes, I want to make sure that you all go out and vote. Make sure you're registered to vote. If you need assistance, you can go to, you can come to House of Prayer, you can come to St. James AME Church, or you can go to the ward location in Ward 2.
And so what reason have you been giving? Because I know you've been talking with your constituents about registering to vote. What reason have you been giving them to do so?
Well, this is our opportunity to let our voices be heard. This is your opportunity to contribute to change if that's what you desire to do. If you don't vote, and there are some things that this year has come up where you need to know, like ID. You need to have your ID. You need to be able to vote. You won't want to go and then you can't. But the strongest thing is being able to share in what's going on in the city of Cape.
Speaking of what's going on in the city of Cape Girardeau, for the people who are not familiar with your work in the community and what you have been working to accomplish or making a priority in your term, what would those things be? Well,
starting out, I am really wanted to see the youth have opportunities that they don't have right now. So I would love to see a community center, educational center, where you can come in and, you know, have people that will help you with your homework or anything that you may be going through. I've also watched the babies as on 74, Highway 74. And when I'm crossing there and watching the children go by, it is a dangerous, when I say dangerous, it's very dangerous, to the point that I won't even move until I know that they're safe. But I want to see that too. I want to see where something to come in, and I've been working hard on that to bring where they can be safe. The parks, they walk to the park, they walk back home. There is no bathrooms. They have porta potties, but they don't have bathrooms, which I think is more sanitary. And then they have to go all the way back home and then walk back to the park. You know, a lot of them are just like 4, 5, 7, 8 years old, and that's a long way. So I am really wanting to see bathrooms put in the parks in Ward 2.
And when you're referring to the parks, which parks are you referring to that
Indian Park and Rating.
And they both lack those bathrooms, public facilities. And I know in the past few years there have been some improvements to other parks in the area. So Scott Meyer will be on the show later and we'll kind of address some improvements that are a possibility for the city. But for you, the focus, you feel like, especially for Ward 2, needs to be on Rainey Park and Indian Springs Park. what about this education facility, this safe space? What's your vision for that? As far as where would it be, or how would it be staffed, or where might it be located?
Well, hopefully it'll be located in Ward 2, and hopefully it'll be in a place where where you can walk to it, just in case. I used to work for the Boys and Girls Club, and at the Boys and Girls Club, I began to see the plight of babies. Not being able to do their homework, not having someone to help them understand, and a lot of times they came in, they hadn't eaten, and so you have to know all of those things. And I would like to see educational center, even not just the children, but for the adults too. You got teenagers, and then you got young adults that need to be able to do the applications, fill out resumes, and need help with doing it. So the location, I would really love for it to be in Ward 2.
Well, and because, I'm sure that people who are watching the program will think to themselves, well, there are locations in the city of Cape Girardeau that can help people with those types of things. But unfortunately, some of the people that live in Ward 2 don't have transportation.
No, they do not.
And so focusing more on placing facilities in their area is something that you're interested in doing. And it's not just those kinds of city-run organizations, but also you're interested in seeing businesses move into the Ward 2 area.
Yeah, we do not have any major businesses, restaurants. The one we do have, it's still a little far away for the children, but a restaurant like McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's, or even major restaurants like Ruby Tuesday, something that would bring a greater light into the ward.
Well, and to emphasize that, the River Campus is right there.
Right,
it's not like there's no one else besides Ward 2 residents that could take advantage of that type of a business. So you're not asking for anything that would just be specific to them. That's a major highway that goes through there.
That's true. A lot of traffic.
And there is a great deal of traffic. So that plays into your safety issue. It plays into benefiting the children. And so to wrap up, if you could deliver a message to Ward 2 and what you would like to see, or what you would like to help them with, or what you would like to do for them, what would you say?
The thing that I would love to do for them is to give them understanding on how important it is that we work together and communicate and bring your ideas to one, and we all just talk about it, because one group may have something that the other group doesn't have. And I think if we all walk together in oneness, and understanding and collaborating, we could really make a change in Ward 2.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck in the election, April the 3rd, for City of Cape Girardeau, Ward 2. Shelley Moore, thanks again for coming by. On the way next, we'll get to talk with Pastor Scott Johnson, who also is a candidate for Ward 2. That's next on Cape Chronicle.
Facing life's difficulties takes strength and determination. Whether it's physical challenges or struggles you can't see, it takes strength to ask for help when you need it. Learn how other veterans have reached out for help and hear their stories of strength and recovery at maketheconnection.net.
You can sing in the shower and doodle in the margins of a notebook for the rest of your life, or you can push your creativity to center stage and develop the skills to back it up. At Southeast Missouri State University, you can surround yourself with minds that are as creative and weird and beautiful as yours. At a campus dedicated exclusively to the arts, with classmates who share your passion and faculty who know the industry. You've got talent. Let's see what you got.
Welcome back to Cape Chronicle. I'm Audrey Kane. We just spoke with incumbent Shelley Moore before the break, and now we have Ward 2 hopeful Pastor Scott Johnson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, okay, so you're running for City Council Representative Ward 2, and for the people who don't know you personally or your work, what is it that you do?
I'm a pastor of a self-help ministry that's designed to bring people out of poverty, help them go back to college, go to school, get their GEDs, driver's license, anything that helps to enhance their lives. I'm a pastor there and the program director over at our location and outreach at 624 Good Hope Street, Soulful Harvest Ministries.
Okay, Soulful Harvest Ministries, okay.
Yes.
And so what I guess my main question that I would ask you about that is, how do you feel like that prepares you to hold the position of council member for Ward 2?
Well, first you have to, the reason I feel that it prepares me for that, one thing, I've been here all my life, 49 years, and you have to be able to connect with the people. And depending on what services you offer the people, you learn to connect with the people at all different levels, so you know exactly who you're dealing with. You know what levels they're operating, how they think mentally. You work on focusing their mindset, a change for their mindset. So it helps you to understand exactly who you're dealing with across the board.
Absolutely. Connecting the constituents to the resources that they need.
Absolutely.
As well as introducing them to maybe new programs
Absolutely.
that they don't know about. Okay. And you mentioned that you're a lifelong resident of
Yes.
Cape Girardeau. So what do you feel are some of the most important issues that the city can address in Ward 2 itself?
Basically, I think the strong point is collaboration with not just different agencies and businesses, but the different communities in the city, the different races and groups of people, giving them an understanding of this is how you live, this is how we live, but let's come together, let's do more of really just collaborating to get an understanding of this is what's going on this end of town, and this is what you have to understand about what's going on down here, so we can solve the problem instead of always just talking about it.
Right. And maybe some of that understanding that just because the socioeconomic or the racial issues are different in Ward 2 than, maybe one of the other wards in the north part of town, it doesn't mean there's not a sense of community, right?
Right, and it's really not that different. People fear what they don't understand. And if you're afraid to come and see what's going on, of course you're going to think it's different. But we're human, just like anybody else. If they say, well, the black people in South Cape living in poverty, but it's not just black people, it's just people across the board. And if you come to get that understanding, we'll see we're all just alike. It's about me getting to know you better, you getting to know me better, us sitting down at the table, which a lot of people don't like to do, and just get an understanding of this is who I am and this is who you are. And that's fine. Let's just see what we have in common. And if we don't have anything in common, that still doesn't mean that we can't work together to make a difference.
Are you connecting with any local business leaders through your ministry that can maybe partner with you as a ward representative?
Yes, we have what's called a 24-hour life impact team, and I think at last count we were offering at least 25 different services. But these services come from qualified professionals that we go out, we collaborate, we meet people, and we say, hey, this is what we're doing, or if you're interested in helping us make a difference or a change, would you like to be on board with us? And through social media. So what happens is when they get on board, so now there's another service available. So if you have a problem, I can send you to a qualified professional if it's anything above what I'm certified to do as a Missouri Recovery Support Specialist through the Department of Mental Health.
You mentioned the recovery support, and I know that that's something that concerns you, the drug abuse and crime and violence in Ward 2.
Yes.
Can you address that as far as, you know, how you can work with the city as a council person to maybe address some of those issues?
Absolutely. The first thing is actually establishing a relationship with the city officials and the city leaders and, you know, across the board. And then getting on the same page of asking, what is it that you want to see happen? What's your action plan? What's your plan of action? How are you going about this? How does that compare to what we do? And then let's bring the two together. So now you have more authority, you have more power, you have more people working on one issue, but we're all working together. So it starts with just going out and getting to know the city officials, and again, establishing relationship is key. Relationship is key.
Absolutely. Some of the other issues that I know concern you, I've done a little bit of research on some things that you've said, and that housing is an issue in Ward 2 that you'd like to address.
Absolutely. One of the things that we're doing is we have been blessed to acquire a couple of properties ourselves, and to initiate some affordable housing. Sometimes you drive through the city, and not all landlords are bad, but not all of them are doing their jobs either. And so we look at what is it that we can do to help bring affordable housing and get families off of the street. Sometimes these families don't have time to go to an agency, fill out a paper, all that. They come to you Monday, you have to help them on Monday night.
We've got about a minute left. If you could address the voter that's watching this, what would you say to them as far as, you know, why they should vote for you?
I say to the voter, first of all, get out and vote. I mean, there's people that lost their lives throughout history for that. And voting for me, it'll be no more talk, just action. And action that takes effect immediately. Action that brings about change. Anybody can promise what they'll do. And then once they're positioned, are they going to do it? Well, it's about voting for me to know, and a lot of people know I'm straight up about action. Like, let's make it happen. It's good to meet, but sometimes we can meet too much. And while people are meeting up, some people are still getting hurt or losing their lives. And voting for me just brings no more talk, just straight action. Action.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming by
You're
today.
welcome.
Good luck in the election
Thank you so
on April
much.
the 3rd. Thanks again to Pastor Scott Johnson for joining us. After the break, we'll hear from City Manager Scott Meyer on the Parks, Recreation, and Stormwater Sales Tax. That's next on Cape Chronicle.
This is Candace Davis.
This is Shad Burner.
Hello, this is Tom Hardy.
I'm Stacy Dohan Lane.
This is Frank Nickel.
I'm Brooke Hildebrand Clubs.
This is Nate Savarino. You're listening to KRCU.
At KRCU, we don't just say anything. Tune in weekdays to hear local voices delivering trusted information on nature, food, history, health, sports, and more during NPR's Morning Edition.
At Southeast Missouri State, we know agriculture can mean so much more than working on the farm. It means research and lab work that lead to profitability and sustainability. It means creating new jobs, jobs that other people haven't even thought of yet. It means the spirit of entrepreneurship and the desire to make your own way. You want to do something groundbreaking beyond plowing fields. So let's get started.
At Southeast Missouri State, we've been launching the extraordinary careers of educators for nearly 150 years. But that's the thing about educators. They're always ready to learn more, discover new paths, and push themselves to the next level. With our new online educational leadership programs, you can earn the credentials needed to move up in your career. With flexibility for your schedule, accelerated courses, and an affordable price, together we can transform our learning communities and prepare you to conquer your goals.
This is Cape Chronicle, and I'm Audra Kane. We're joined now by City Manager Scott Meyer to tell us more about the Parks, Recreation, and Stormwater Sales Tax extension. Scott, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's always good to be here.
Well, I always tell people that you're one of the most informed people I know because you're pretty much running things. So there's some big changes coming. Mayor Rediger terming out, gonna see a new mayor coming after April 3rd, and then there are also a couple of ward candidates that we've just talked with. But there's this tax extension. And sometimes tax is a scary word for people, but it's something that the City of Cape Girardeau has already been participating in for the last 10 years. So the Parks, Recreation, and Stormwater Sales Tax, tell me about what will happen if it is approved by the voters.
Well, first of all, and you pointed it out, we're not asking for more. We're not asking Cape Girardeau to do more. We're just asking them to continue to do what you're doing. So 3/8 of a cent sales tax would be a continuation. And really the emphasis is on parks, on continuing to do parks as we have. We've become a regional hub that draw people into our community, a lot of it for our parks amenities. And this takes care of a lot of those amenities and renews some of them. The Aquatic Center, we have one. We're not asking, we're replacing that with a better, more efficient, more effective facility is what the proposal is. And have some partnerships with that, but then ball fields, but then also a lot of it is on the maintenance of the existing facilities to keep them maintained and operating smoothly. Okay,
so you mentioned the Aquatic Center, the plan for that. Explain what that is, because I've done a little research and I see it, because what's existing now is what the kids call the bubble.
Right.
So what would happen with the plan for that?
Well, this is a little different because typically by the time we get ready to do something, we have it pretty well know exactly what we would build. In this case, we really don't, because it's going to take partnerships in order to build what as much as we can. So we want to build the best facility we can with the resources that we have. It's a balance between providing as much as we can in that can draw people into our city and can serve the teams and the citizens, but also doing it in a financially responsible way. So that leads to building partnerships, much like we did to the indoor sports facility. So we have a process we'll use, and once we figure out how much money can be invested by us, we're going to invest $6 million out of PRS2 if it passes. What additional capital can be done, and then how do we operate it, and how do we operate it budget neutral, if you will. Right. So that's a process. We don't know exactly what it will yield, but we're going to balance those two priorities and build the best facility that we can.
Now, I've seen some speculation that possibly it could be down by Jefferson Elementary because the city and the school district own some land down there, correct?
That is correct.
And so that is a possible location.
That's a possible location. There have been others that have been mentioned. They've mentioned, I believe, the Osage Center and next to the indoor sports complex. Maybe there's one out there that we don't know about that people might, somebody might donate. We don't know what the end of that is, but if we figure out what's the best thing to produce more partnerships or maybe more income, we're open to all those things. So we're going to make a very responsible decision. Those things are possibilities on the table.
And there's also some possibilities of a couple extra parks in maybe South Cape Girardeau and maybe something in the Red Star area?
Absolutely. One of the things that we found out when we started talking about the projects was that the people came forward and said, we would like to see more neighborhood parks, especially on the south side. So we actually changed the project. We added those two neighborhood parks on the south side, went out to Red Star, and that was a change that was made from our public meetings, people asking to make some changes, and we did.
Were those suggestions from people all over town, or were they mostly people from that area?
Those particular neighborhood parks were from that area. It was interesting. We conducted several meetings throughout the city, and so people had different input about the program throughout. That's just two of them that came from those meetings.
The other part of this, the title of this tax extension is stormwater.
Yes.
And so that sounds really boring as compared to having a new park or an aquatic center. That's not the most exciting part of the tax extension, but what does that specifically mean?
Well, the rain we had this last weekend, you wouldn't probably think it was very boring, because it was a good reminder of what used to happen at Town Plaza. Town Plaza several years ago in the 80s flooded. There was actually, I believe, was a life lost of somebody in a car down there because of the stormwater work that was done in the 90s. That doesn't happen anymore, and certainly doesn't happen to the degree that it does now. So we look at stormwater in large watersheds, and we have plans to help alleviate stormwater problems in those watersheds. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to go away. You still, and when you have a large rain, it's still not going to contain it 100%, but it does make it a lot better. And the Town Plaza is one example of that. Certainly, we've identified several watersheds, arenas, Ghibli Park, are a few, and certainly we've identified, I believe, 8 of them that we're going to improve with the stormwater tax this time.
So this goes to a vote on April 3rd. I'm always curious about the wording when whenever there's some sort of, non-vote for this person or this person item on the ballot. I'm always curious, is the wording going to be confusing, or is it one of those that's pretty straightforward? Yes, I want this. No, I don't.
Yeah, we're always very plain. We want to make sure it's very plain. And so I believe the wording said, should the city extend the tax? If you vote yes, the tax will be extended. If you vote no, it won't be extended. Okay.
And then if anybody has any questions about what exactly this would go for, how long, because it's a 15-year extension, but if they have any further questions, I'm going to guess that there is information that's up on the city's website.
Absolutely. We have on our website, each project has a project sheet that goes into much more detail about that. So you can get that from our website. Certainly you can call the office. We'd be glad to visit with you about it if you have any specific questions. And there's a group that's out doing presentations now, or you can call our office and we'll come and do a presentation as well.
Well, I love it when you go out in the public and really get their opinion on things. It makes it much easier to understand when you can see it.
Well, and this process has been that. Our council started out with a group to look at it. Then they looked at it, they reviewed it, then we went out and did meetings, then we came back to council again. So it's been very open and very transparent, and we think that it's a project that are important. Are there other things that would have been nice? Yeah, but you only have so much money.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming by,
Always good to be
Scott.
here.
Oh, thank you. We've been talking today with City Manager Scott Meyer. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for joining us today for Cape Chronicle. The program is a collaboration between the Department of Mass Media at Southeast Missouri State University and the City of Cape Girardeau. Our producer is Nicolette Brennan. Our executive producer is Dr. Jim Dufek. I'm Audra Kane. Thanks for watching.